Hello, everybody. Hi. Hello, everybody. Hi. Hello, everybody. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I was feeling it today. How y'all doing? I hope everyone's doing well. I just got the Rose edition of the Threads of Fate Oracle deck. Now, I ended up purchasing the Ascendant, or is this the Journeyman? The Journeyman edition of the Threads of Fate, the Weaver Tarot. And I meant to purchase the Ascendant edition of the Weaver Tarot, so I ended up with two Weaver Tarot decks instead of a Tarot deck and an Oracle deck. And one of my friends, shout out to Sonia, recently let me know um, about these. So I placed an order and I got them. So let's see what these are about. I hope everyone's doing well. I already said that. Now, I typically don't like using scissors. There we go. Just got to work into the crease to get the plastic off. I don't know why Like a Virgin is in my head. Oh, you make me feel shiny and new. Okay. This one seemed to be alright. I went for so on the website, threadsoffate.com maybe. In the shop, they have like a section for unopened boxes where there's like a misprint on the box, and because of the misprint on the box, they sell it at a fraction of the price of the non-misprinted one. But I don't know, it seemed alright to me. And she said that too. She was like maybe the box is a little scuffed, but like that's it. Besides that, it's perfectly fine. Girl, how does this always end up happening? How does this always end up happening to me? I don't know if it's the website. I don't know if it's my eyes. I don't know what it is. I got this edition thinking it would be lighter, but it's darker. So that's why I pulled out the lighter set of cards. Okay. Hey, I'm always down for a little surprise. So it's like the opposite. No, I'm not going to buy another edition of the Oracle cards just because these aren't dark. That's not going to happen. And I can already see that these are not in alphabetical order in the book, which is interesting. It's an interesting choice. But I just saw Take Risk, Compassion, and Now Shadow is here. I'm interested to see how. Here's the index, how these are organized. So in the index, they're in alphabetical order, of course. There's a Seeker in this deck. Ooh. Love that. I'm feeling a little. I don't know what this feeling is. This little butterfly. A little bit. A little nervousness. I don't know how these are organized. Oh, by element. Okay. So first it's earth, then it's air. It's interesting that earth is first. And then fire, looks like. And then water, and then ether. Yep. Is there anything beyond ether? Nope. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna just do some readings. Ancestors. Release. These are two interesting images to me. To like open up to these two. Because in Ancestors, she's like rooted in it. But in Release, the frog is on top of it. And already there's an energy of like standing on the shoulders of giants. I mean, you can get that from ancestors alone, but the frog is like on top of all of the brutes. Also, there's like these two together, it creates an energy of um, it's almost like the fulfillment of an ancestral prophecy in the space of like your ancestors over the course of multiple generations have been building something, and you stand at the pinnacle of that, capable of doing what, or in a position to accomplish what someone set into motion a long time ago. And I just like, I'm watching a lot of anime right now. I've caught up on the continuing shows, and so now I'm going back to watch some of the other ones. And so I got back on Dr. Stone, and there was a similar ish energy there where the main character is like a high school genius. His daddy was an astronaut. There was a cataclysm that happened. All this happens in like the first episode of the show, so it's not really spoilers. I mean, it kind of is, but it's literally the first episode of the show that sets up the whole show. And so there's this event that happens on Earth that petrifies everybody, like after he goes up into space. And so he tries to save them and unpetrify everyone, but it doesn't happen. And so like roughly 3,700 years pass. And his dad, through many generations, leaves stories for him because he knows that eventually one day his son will break free. And so in the episode that I just watched, and I only watched one, he got a message from his father, and I like actually cried. I actually cried watching it. But he was like, you know, he was supposed to give him a gift or something. And he was like, you know, the gift I leave to you is, or the gift I leave is friends. People who, because, you know, they had to basically repopulate the earth since everybody else was turned to stone. Yeah. And then they were like, wait, so does that mean that, like, yeah, anyway, I'm not going to talk about it too much, because then it'll be a little more spoilery. But, yeah, he got a message from his dad, like, 3,700 years later. And it's one of those things where it's like, I think he actually felt the passage of time because he was counting the seconds. But yeah, it's like, you know, when you emerge 3,700 years later, you kind of expect for most of the people that you know to have passed. But maybe his dad was also turned to stone somewhere and could have been alive somewhere. So, I don't know. All right. Who this? Ace of Wands, the Sovereign of Wands, the Three of Cups, and the Six of Cups. Wow, this is interesting energy. There's a Leo. This Sovereign of Wands energy kind of sort of has all of the fire signs. There's a little bit of Leo energy in the middle. There's Aries on the ram horns. And then the torch itself, or maybe the constellations within it, are like a little Sagittarian. There you go. And it's coming out with the 3 and the 6 of Cups. So altogether, this is 9 of Cups wish fulfillment. There's almost like a sort of countdown type of energy, because again, with the clock up there, the 2 of Cups is blocked by a wall of roses in the clock. And then we have the 3 of Cups over here with those interlocking crescent moons. And these overlapping diamonds. There's a high priestess energy in this Three of Cups, but it also kind of sort of speaks or goes back to the timing here. The Sovereign of Wands energy is a Queen of Wands energy. So this could potentially be like someone sees you in a way. Why do I have to say it like this? This could be someone seeing you in a way that they didn't see you before. And now, with the Three of Cups, there's an energy of accepting differences. With this Queen of Wands, it's almost like you owning your own power and standing firmly in your own self. Someone else finds appealing. And now, where failure to launch just popped into my mind, but where it may have been more difficult to see eye to eye in the past, now we're coming into an energy of acceptance. And so there's a certain amount of maybe self-love and love for another and the acceptance of another that gives us those last two cups. And the bottom of the deck is justice. So maybe it wouldn't work then, but you know, now cutting to the Seeker of Wands, which kind of reads like a journey to make it to that queen with the Anchor, which is Emperor energy. All right. Oh, something else. These cards just want to talk lately. I'm like, well, y'all never just be talking to me like this. It's like, well, you ain't never been open to reading me like this or something. I don't know. All right. Compassion was at the top of the deck. So definitely some of that compassion. Definitely some acceptance. Compassion with paradox. That's an interesting energy. Why is paradox a compassion? I think compassion becomes a little paradoxical when you enter, I guess, maybe the realm of tough love. Because it's like how you can love someone, be compassionate, but also hold someone accountable. And it's like being understanding, but also holding someone accountable at the same time. And I think it can be a little bit of a paradox, right? Because it's like, let's say it's something like someone has a certain vice, right? And if like you're like, well, I don't want to enable them, but at the same time, like if this is something that they want, like I don't want them to suffer. Like they would suffer if they're without it, but with it they suffer because of it. So which is the compassionate choice? I don't know. So who did? Get curious and boundaries. Speaking of paradoxes, get curious and boundaries. Maybe it's time to explore boundaries in a way that you never have before. Like maybe there are certain boundaries that you have that you may not necessarily know why you have, and in the exploration of those boundaries, you may feel that they can expand a little bit or that they're not necessary. It can be an energy of like you not liking something that you've never tried, and then you try it and you find out you like it. So the card that came out is the Sovereign, and we just had the Sovereign of Wands. Oh my gosh, look. And it's the same little horned detail on it as well. Y'all see that? There you go. Ooh, gorgeous, gorgeous. The Sovereign. So we have sovereigns and we have rulers. Now, contextually, sovereign to me reads as more independent. And a ruler, because of the nature of the context that I have around the word ruler versus around the word sovereign. Sovereign has a blanketed better context than ruler. Like a ruler can sometimes be a little tyrannical, and a ruler implies more control than a sovereign, even though technically it's the same amount, right? So let's get a few cards for this. I'll do this one because I feel like this one because I want it, and this one because it's there. All right. So the sovereign. Let me go to the index to find what page this is on. This is page 111. It's in ether. So we're starting out with ether. Okay. There's the warrior. Oh, snap. The warrior. That was the sun card in the SKT. The sovereign. The sovereign. There we go. So, the sovereign card invites us to activate the leader. One second. Activate the leader, visionary, and enthusiast within us. It is a time to welcome in passion and fire while creating structure that allows for you to nurture your dreams. Sovereign creates a container which allows for growth within themselves and others. They approach situations with a no BS attitude and may come across as harsh to some people. There's that paradox with compassion. Okay. Their strong boundaries. What was it? Get creative and boundaries. So all these cards are being coming up. All right, all right. Their strong boundaries and opinions may even be intimidating to others, but in reality, it is their way of nurturing. They have no interest in appeasing others simply to keep them comfortable. They will continue to push those around them so that they can grow. The sovereign also calls us to create structure. From a place of structure, the sovereign knows that life runs more smoothly, allowing for the manifestation of true success, security, and happiness. Where in life do you continually find chaos? Where are your energy and resources getting sapped? The sovereign invites you to examine those situations practically and cut out what is no longer serving you. This is not a time for being sentimental or nostalgic with the Six of Cups. The sovereign is realistic about what is needed and gets it done, knowing that it makes room for true peace. So this is, yeah, it's no BS. Man, and according to this, she don't even have fun. He don't even have fun. Ain't no fun. What we get? What I get? What we get? First card out is the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands, it's a wishbone. It's a coin with growth in it, and there are four wands that create this sort of mandorla frame around this energy. Now, with this wishbone being unbroken, it's almost like it's not yet decided whether or not this will come to pass. But the key here, the currency here, is growth. With the, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a plant in the middle of that coin. And we're talking about the sovereign and a currency of growth. The second card is the Hanged One. This is one of the hands, I believe, of the lovers. Oh, I've never noticed that before. So I said that the key here was growth because of that, because of the plant and the coin, and then you see the hands on the outside. Here on this hand, it's taken on like the plant is growing on that wrist. If you can see, there you go. It's up there. It's up there. There it is. If you can see it. And the rose is upside down. This feels a little bit like carrot on a stick type of energy, like being baited with a relationship or with some kind of love. And then we end it with the high sage, which is that high priestess energy I was feeling. Um, with the Queen of Wands, the Three of Cups, and the Nine of Cups, leading into the Four of Wands, the Hanged Man, the Hanged One, and the High Sage. There are moon cycles on here. The next moon is the full moon. Full moon is the new moon. Next full moon is going to be in Virgo because we've already had the full moon in Leo. Actually, I want to see when that happens because it was about this time last year, somewhere, that we switched from having a new moon being the first lunation cycle in a zodiac period to the full moon. So that's in approximately 2 weeks. So we'll say the 22nd of February, because why not? Moon's going to be in Cancer. Sun's going to be in Pisces. So let's say like 4 days later, the 26th of February. Moon is in Virgo. Moon is in Virgo. Sun is 8 degrees Pisces. So it's still going to happen like 8 or 9 degrees at that full moon. So it ain't necessarily going to be extremely soon where we'll switch. This sovereign card to me, like this whole thing, it's reading like what I was saying, I believe yesterday or the day before, about how there were certain individuals in my life who put me in certain contexts and situations that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with. So going back to the Queen of Wands, the Three of Cups, and the Six of Cups, learning to respect and honor each other's differences and each other's strengths, and sort of like putting yourself in check to limit contention and conflict and chaos, I guess. I don't know. But in that moment, it was like, I don't want to be somewhere and me not liking attention or not necessarily wanting attention, and someone else who naturally gains attention or who does things to get attention, not necessarily who's in like the limelight or closer to the limelight, right? Or someone who wants to be in the limelight or in the spotlight versus someone who doesn't want to be. I didn't want to create any tension in that moment or in any moment by like my being uncomfortable. So one of the things that I knew that I would have to do is to get more comfortable. And that isn't anything that anyone told me to do. It's just something that I realized. I was like, you know what? I don't want to even remotely be in a situation where, let's say, I'm out with somebody else, because I would never do this, where I'm out with someone else and I feel uncomfortable because of whatever reason. Like, I don't want to even like think about asking them to not be themselves just because of a little bit of side attention that I might or might not get, right? And so there's an energy of this here with the Four of Wands and the Hanged One, like that with like love or a certain relationship being that carried on a stick energy. And whenever we come into a carrot on a stick energy, it is something that motivates us to more often than not better ourselves, right? Not necessarily being baited with something that you don't want to do or that isn't for your greater good or for your betterment. And since it's the sovereign energy, it's it's going to be for your betterment. It's going to push your boundaries, it's going to make you grow. But these are choices and decisions that you make because of, with this high sage energy, it's like where you know you're going, or maybe where you want to go. It's for the future. You may not necessarily see how it plays out in the moment. And even me doing that for that reason, right? Or me wanting to get more comfortable for that reason opened up the door for me to get more used to my voice and for a whole bunch of other things that may not necessarily align with the reason why I originally did it. And by this point in my journey, I just accept that sometimes I think I'm doing something for one reason, but in reality, the reason is completely different. And since I've accepted that, I don't necessarily feel lied to by spirit because I baited myself into thinking, believing, hoping, dreaming, whatever, right? Or because, I was guided and led in a certain direction at one point in time and then led in a different direction later. I feel like this is like a universal energy or a spirit energy. What is our energy here? And that was like an ether aspect. What is our energy, and what are we? Yeah, like where are we sitting? How we not how we feel about this? Because you feel. I guess I should look at. I can look at the bottom of this deck. Bottom of this deck is the Five of Cups. Okay. So now the Three of Cups are spilled, and the Two of Cups are still upright, and that third eye is there from this High Sage card. And honestly, that just takes me bottom of the deck over here as movement with the Orphic egg on it. And we saw the cosmic egg at the bottom of the deck on that the crow, the golden egg, and the elephant or whatever. Oh yeah, movement. Like maybe you thought something was your final destination or your end goal, and you're asked to keep on moving, and you're like, oh, hold up, wait. I think that Five of Cups is our interaction with that. When you really think that something is someone or whatever resonates. When you think that an opportunity is for you, maybe a job is for you or something like that, but it doesn't work out and you're asked to continue moving. Of course, it's okay to take time and grieve or to question and to wonder, like, well, like, why was I led here if I weren't supposed to, like, be here? But I don't think it's to stop moving either, necessarily. Especially with that movement card, right? The card that came out is Soul Work. And I kind of like the Soul Work card for this because I feel like this puts us in a space of understanding what all this was about. With the Sovereign being the challenge and Soul Work being the energy that we're in, we've come to the point where we've accepted, maybe we're beginning to see and experience how we've grown and how some of these honeycombs around us are beginning to be filled in ways that we couldn't do ourselves or ways that we don't even notice at the time, right? Because this is the queen bee on here and she doesn't feel the honeycomb, the worker bees do. I was just playing a game with one of my ex-resis. He could actually potentially be watching because I read for him and his girlfriend and I sent it from this channel. It's fine. Like I said, I'm getting over it. Or I've gotten over it by this point. And so it's like the worker bees. Oh, in the game I was playing, I just got an item that it summons bees sometimes. I was like, oh wow, like 3 bees, 3 of Cups, 3 bees. Look at that. But they go out and they do the work. They do the scouting. They do the gathering. While they're gathering, they're also cross pollinating. So there's an energy there of like they don't necessarily have the intention of pollinating flowers. They're just trying to get the nectar to make the honey. But in them doing that, it helps the flowers to procreate. And also, the thing with bees is they make more honey than they're capable of consuming, they make more than they need. And so, there's a way to like ethically harvest honey because of that fact. Just like how, the bees don't necessarily intend on helping flowers propagate when they're going to get their honey, they may not necessarily care too much that. And I've seen something from what is that, apiary? I think apiary is where you keep bees. I don't remember what it's called, a beekeeper, but hello. 57-degree weather. What? It's 57 over there. It's like 7 over here. All right. Let me see. Hold up. Oh, it's 16. It's 16 degrees over here. How you doing? But I know it's an apiary. What do you call a beekeeper? Hey Siri, what is an apiary?
An apiary is a location where beehives of honeybees are kept. Apiaries come in many sizes and can be rural or urban depending on the honey production operation.
Okay. Somebody from one of the apiaries said, I mean, cold is something relative, right? So you can still complain. Like if it was like 70 degrees or 80 degrees and then all of a sudden it was 57 degrees one day, that'd still be cold. But you probably ain't slipping and sliding if you try to go to the stove or if you're walking anywhere, but it's fine. Um, but there is a way to ethically harvest honey because, again, by nature, bees create more than they need and more than they use. So you take what they don't need. And I also saw something that was, well, first of all, bees are like kind of hanging in the balance right now. And so ethically sourced honey, like an apiary that takes into account the bees, like they actually in some ways protect them. And there was something else about how like other animals like wasps and stuff like that, they'll like break into hives to steal the honey, or if they accumulate too much then something happens, something else accumulates while they're getting the honey. I don't know. The people who do it ethically and the people who know what they're talking about outside of, oh my gosh, you're using the bees, like there's a way to do it that respects everyone. And maybe that's another message with this soul work, like there's a way to be in your sovereignty that also respects and acknowledges everyone. And again, it's another energy of there are like additional effects, like positive effects that are unintended, like an unintended consequence, but it's a good one instead of like a bad one. So soul work this is some air energy, which is interesting because Aquarius. Aquarius. Ew. Ew, gross. What was that? Oh, your son's birthday is this season. Happy birthday to him, or happy belated birthday if it already happened. So soul work. This is a little bit longer. We got some bee energy, we got some aspen energy, and we got some diamond energy. So, diamond. That was one of the companion crystals for one of the cards that came out yesterday. And the only cards that came out yesterday were oneness, emotional freedom, and the promise. Maybe it was the promise, and it was like some more soulmate energy, I guess, as has already been talking about. So, oh, it's on Wednesday. Okay. Well, happy early birthday to him. Um, Apparently, I do one love and relationship pick a card reading, and everything. All my decks are like, what? What? He reading love now? All right, it's time to open up that branch of the message department. So, sometimes while we are navigating our day-to-day life, we can lose sight of our highest purpose in this earthly realm. This card asks you to once again check in with your soul purpose. It is not possible to be derailed from your soul path, no matter where you are, but clarity does help us show up for it in a more interesting way. There we go. I feel like I gotta break the book just to be able to read in the corners. So sit with these questions. What are you here to teach? What are you here to learn? What stirs in your heart? Spend some time reflecting upon your soul mission and how you can integrate it into your life. B. The life of the bee is all centered in one mission: to nurture the colony. There are different types of bees, and they each have their unique job, but it is all to serve the collective. The bee is an ally for our soul mission, because once we have an idea of what we are here to do and how we want to do it, they can teach us how to create structure and productivity. That's some sovereign energy, with that structure. Call upon B when you are in a liminal space between knowing and action. Aspen. The aspen tree is unique because it grows in colonies where all the trees share an underground root system, and each tree is part of the same single organism. The aspen is an ally of remembering. They grow and repopulate themselves by sprouting clones up from that colony of roots. So even as one or more trees die, the heart of that tree lives on in the root system, and the stand, okay, and the stand can be repopulated. In fact, one of the oldest living organisms in the world is an aspen colony in Utah, estimated to be at least 80,000 years old. Who them trees? Oh, a. Okay, no problem. Your soul has lived many times, and in those lives, circumstances may change, but your soul has awakened and will continue to awaken to its highest calling. Imagine your soul as the aspen's underground root system, and each life as a tree. Connect to the roots, your soul that has lived many times. What does it have to say? What is its mission? I love that energy because of the ancestors and the card with the frog on it. I already forgot. But in the ancestors card, like her feet, her legs became the roots. But in the card with the frog on it, it was like it was standing on top of all of that and claiming something. And it was that energy of, a little bit of effort over a long time really pays out. It's like a Grand Canyon type of energy. I guess, wind and water over a significant period of time will carve its way through rock. And time allows nature to do things that it's otherwise incapable of doing. And it is kind of sort of a bee energy, right? Because it's like a singular bee without a colony. How much would it be able to do? It's an energy of it's like collective impact, better than the sum of their parts, right? Better together. Diamond. Contrary to popular belief, diamonds are not created from coal. They come from the Earth's depths and produced by the intense heat of volcanoes and cosmic collisions. Our soul work often appears to us in the same way. It is unearthed over time, born from experiences of fire. From your experiences, what message has connected them all? What diamond of wisdom has revealed itself to you? Call on diamond as an ally of transformation in the alchemical process of making your soul's work manifest. So that's speaking of incredible pressure, speaking of collective work, just in general, I feel like with this sovereign energy here especially, there is an energy of like just needing to do the difficult stuff. Like, we don't know how or what, like the time for excuses is over. The time for action is now. Things need to be done or there won't be much of anything to do them for later. And it's possible. It's all about collective efforts right now. And it's like the thing that you can do is, who was I talking to? I was talking to one of my friends, and she was telling me about some of the stuff that she sort of carries around. And she used to do pageants, and she's in business now. And she was like, sometimes I feel like, the pageant girl who's trying to do, or she was like, sometimes it seems that some people look at me as, and sometimes I kind of feel like the pageant girl who's trying to do business. And one day I told her, it's like, well, first of all, like, we don't know where we're ultimately going to end up. And it can be your pageant experience that gives you a vantage point, a perspective in business that other people wouldn't have, that would lead you to creating solutions for problems that other people wouldn't even know how to begin to address. Your experiences, your past, it makes you unique. It makes you capable of doing things that other people can't do, or other people aren't as positioned to do. I like that better. And just like it said, like, you're always on your path. So if you started as one thing and then you went to something else and then you go on to something else, there's probably something for you to take from those things. And you can apply it. It's not to make you feel bad or not as knowledgeable, not as good. Because there are some times when very, very, very complicated problems have extremely simple solutions. And when you go that deep into it, you don't even, it's like you're working so far down into like the roots that you don't even notice that the problem is like above ground, first of all. And literally, like, if you just look at the plant, you'd immediately see it. But you get down into the weeds. Yeah. So, all right. Soul work. Anything about soul work? Maybe I don't need nothing. I mean, I guess I picked those, right? I'm only going to do 2 this time, top and bottom. So first is the 2 of coins. Second is the sovereign of coins. Ah, okay, well, and bottom of the deck is the sovereign of cups. So the sovereign of coins, the sovereign of cups, we've seen the sovereign of wands. Here's the sovereign card. The only sovereign we haven't seen is the sovereign of air. And I read the Queen of Swords the other day. When I was still doing the day by day things, and then the next day she went missing, but the King of Swords was there, and then the 2 of Cups was behind the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords. But with the 2 of Pentacles and the Sovereign of Pentacles, there is an energy here of making tough choices and tough decisions that aren't necessarily, it's like choices and decisions that'll nurture you, right? And so sometimes it can be something as simple as us doing something that we don't necessarily feel like doing in the moment, but we know it'll be ultimately for our benefit. It could be us going through, like, building off of that, us going through a period of heavier work to give ourselves a foundation to build off of later. It's like you work hard up front so you can take it easy later. It's like reverse procrastination. When you do the work first, then you can just enjoy yourself instead of enjoying yourself and then freaking out at the last minute and trying to rush it, right? Haste makes waste. Always. And so regardless of how well you do at the last minute, there's still an energy of waste somewhere in there. I don't know. The sovereign of coins could also speak of, and with the 2 of coins, tough choices and decisions when it comes to other people and what they need. And maybe someone is like asking you for things that don't actually help them. And you may have to have them help themselves. Maybe you're in a position of needing to help yourself. Maybe there's someone that you asked for something, and or maybe you can ask spirit. Ask your mama, your auntie, your daddy, your uncle, whoever. Spirit or corporeal. Corporeal or non-corporeal. Maybe you've been asking for something, but they're asking you, or the response, the answer that you get is to put you in a position to get it yourself. And it takes me back to the, what spread is that? The 3rd spread in the video that I did yesterday. Because that one was all about It was like instead of getting the Ten of Pentacles or the Ten of Cups or whatever, it was positioning yourself to be able to do it for yourself. It's like you're asking for fish while something or someone is trying to teach you how to fish. And it could be better in this case to learn how to fish because you don't know how long the fishermen are going to be in town. But if you know how to fish, you can fish no matter where you go. So, bottom of the deck is, oh, it's the Sovereign of Cups. Got it. Sovereign of Cups, it's giving me a High Sage energy. And the High Sage is up here. Sovereign of Cups is down here. This is it working out in like a cosmic way. This is maybe through doing it yourself or through a series of choices and decisions that you have to make for your well-being or your health or something that affects your quality of life, because it's the Pentacles. You're discovering what it is that you're gaining in this situation. And like going back to using myself as an example again, as far as me getting comfortable using my voice and stuff like that, like after I started to do that, something within me just knew that whatever job I end up in or whatever occupation I pursue, me using my voice is going to be important. It's going to be key. And again, what initially motivated me to come into that space or to want to be in that space and how I eventually end up using it could be completely different. But with the Sovereign of Cups down here, it's beginning to see the High Priestess's play. And yesterday was all about being apprenticed to the High Priestess. But it's in a very earthy way here. But it's also sort of like spiritually based and focused. Bottom of the deck now is Withdraw. So as you've been doing your soul work, maybe you've been withdrawing. Not for any reason in particular, but just to focus on the things that you needed to focus on. This is a fox. And this fox, I talked about it maybe yesterday or the day before, whenever I had the Wild Unknown Tarot, so probably yesterday. And I feel like it was the day before. I feel like it was 2 days ago for some reason, but I don't know what time it is. I woke up today thinking it was Sunday. I woke up Saturday thinking it was Sunday. So I had 3 Sundays for the past few days. I don't know. I'm stuck on Sunday, I guess. But the Seven of Swords in the Wild Unknown Tarot has a fox that's hiding the seventh sword at the bottom. And for me in that deck, especially the Seven of Swords is a card of birthright. And once we begin our journey, once we are worthy of it, once we know how to use it, once we're capable of using it and not abusing it, then it gives us that seventh sword. It's something that we don't have, but for good reason. And through doing all of this, there's a fox that's also sleeping. I feel like this is us finding that reason. And it almost also feels like it's an accumulation of some kind. Accumulating some kind of spiritual, almost cosmic feeling energy in this space of withdrawal. But what it does is it causes you to shine in some way. And maybe that's why that Sovereign of Wands, Queen of Wands energy came out. I don't know. But that's what I got for today. I'm probably going to record a video or, I don't know, with these, or maybe I'll leave it there for now and learn these bit by bit. Bit by bit? Yeah, okay. Bit by bit. Honestly, if you see these again, you'll probably see the other version of the deck. I thought these were going to be lighter, but that's fine. I thought these were going to be darker. But again, I talked about that. Thinking that something is going to play out in one way, but it may play out in a completely different way. But it's like as long as you go with it and flow with it, it'll always play out as it's intended to. and it has the potential to always work out for your highest benefit. But I think that movement card that came out is what's really going to allow you to see that that's the case. Because when you stay stuck on something, you don't give yourself the opportunity to see what else the divine is trying to lead you to, or what the divine is trying to keep you from. So, headed inside. I need to. I almost stepped out on the porch today. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go outside. I'll just put on an extra pair of pants and a shirt, or maybe I'll just stay out there until I get too cold. Then I'll keep again. I'll let the dog out. Okay, come on. I got this low-key headache trying to come in. Alright, this one, you're gonna have to jump now, but only like 1 or 2 cards, please. Not like... Ooh, okay, thank you. Bottom of the deck. Why? Bottom of the deck is the devil. Yo, man. The only thing I like about that is that it's a challenge to level up. That's it. Ooh, what's this? The 9 of Cups just slid off with the 7 of Swords here. So the 7 of Swords just came out after I told y'all about how, for me, it can sometimes be the energy of a birthright. Something that was taken for good keeping. The 9 of Cups is here, which is like all of these magical little rose petals around the cups. Which one is the 9 of Cups? There you go. You can see all those little rose petals and stuff. The 9 of Cups is also that 6 and 3 that I talked about in the beginning. This is the return of that birthright. But only if you can free yourself from all of this, all that tie and bind you, all that keep you from being able to receive it, honestly. And with the devil energy at the bottom of the deck, it's like, I feel like it's carrying an energy of things that have already happened, and so it's a pattern that you've fallen into. I don't know if the influences are necessarily as present or prevalent as they were in the past, but once something becomes a habit, sometimes we do it solely because it's a habit, not for anything else. And what's that one song? Somebody breaking the habit? I'm breaking the habit. Self-love under that withdrawal. So that's what you're finding down there, or what you have the opportunity to find, what would probably help you a lot. So all that you wish for, all that you long for, all you hope for and adore is in a space to be claimed now, if you can free yourself from the clutches of your not so friendly local neighborhood Capricorn. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. It ain't necessarily a Capricorn. I mean, unless you're a Capricorn. But we all have Capricorn in our chart somewhere, so maybe look to see what house you have Capricorn in. For me, Capricorn is in the 9th and 10th house. It cuts 2 of my houses. And so that was the 9th house is all about higher education, and it did take me like 9 years to get my degree, so that's one devil down. And then in the 10th house, it's all about career and reputation and things like that. And right now, that's sort of a paradox that I'm navigating, because I want to, my concentration is in pharmaceutical process engineering. My degree is in biological engineering. So I want to work at a pharmaceutical company, but I want to make like medicines that people can actually afford, medications that don't give you more side effects to sell other medications, and I don't want to work for a company who's only interested in making a profit. Like, I had an interview with one company, and I look on their website, they manufacture generics. I'm like, great, generic means that people can afford it, right? And on their website, they're like, we're all about, making affordable medicines for the people that we care about, and blah, 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 blah. But then with a quick little Google search, here's a lawsuit, 40 states, 40 out of 50 states, 80% of the U.S. And it's like, it's like who you are in real life doesn't seem to add up to who you advertise yourself to be. And I'm not, while it was a really, really good opportunity that was a lot closer to where I want to end up, and starting there shortened my trajectory and my plan in that field significantly. I couldn't work for a company that was overcharging for like generic medication at that. Like literally supposed to be affordable. Maybe not, but you know. And so I was just like, yeah, that's not a fit for me. Oh, okay. Well, all right. What's interesting is, oh no, this is a sword. I don't know if it's the same. This is the thing in the Wheel of Fortune. But the wheel, the snake, the Ouroboros has been released. And now it can just shine. The card that came out is Speak Truth. I'm like, okay, all right, well, hey, Speak Truth. Hey, the deck said it, not me. Bottom of the deck is Death. The truth shall set you free. And it'll also allow for this transformation to take place. So that's what I got for today. I hope you'll have a good whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make that which you wish to experience your reality, because if you don't, who gonna do it for you? And don't you like owe it to yourself? I guess with the sovereign, and I had another friend who knew how much of a struggle it was at times to get that degree. And she was like, were all the late nights and the tears and the frustration and stuff like that, like, is it worth it? And I was like, yes and no. Like what I've gained and reaching the point where I'm able to complete my degree is invaluable, and it's totally worth it. But if you're asking me if a piece of paper signifying accreditation from an institution was worth it, then no, because that's just a piece of paper with a name on it. But what I put into it to get it was definitely worth it. And yeah, sometimes we just gotta, with all the like the soul work stuff, it's like sometimes it's like you have to create the reason. But in creating the reason, you align to the highest good that could have come out of it. So I don't know if y'all heard that. But on that note, I'm gonna go. Thank you for tuning in, I guess. Bye.